Hi, hello. I want to try reading a book, or rather a diary, the really renowned diary of a young girl. Her name is Anne Frank. I'm not sure whether I pronounced that name correctly because, according to a conventional English, you should call Anne Frank. But however, I am also aware that, first of all, she was born in German. She was a Jew, and strangely, she wrote her diary in Dutch, and hence I don't really know whether her name should be pronounced in a German way, a Jewish way, in Hebrew pronunciation, or in a Dutch pronunciation. I'm not too sure because some people I've heard calling her name as Anne Frank. I bet maybe that is like Dutch or German pronunciation. I'm not too sure. But however, this diary, this book, the really renowned book, is about a little girl who was 13, I believe, when she wrote this series of diary entries, and yeah, she was basically one of our victims during the Nazis' atrocious uh, leadership, atrocious era, and she was arrested and sent to the prison camp, Holocaust, I believe, and at the end she died. Uh, very catastrophically, and this is a short entry. I think she wrote a diary almost every single day when she was in the prison camp, or before that when she was hiding in a basement, trying to evade the prosecution of all Jewish people by the Nazi. And yeah, let me try to read. And again, originally it was written in Dutch, and this is obviously an English translation. I have found a multiple version, but however, on the YouTube version, I don't audiobook version. I don't really know. It seemed to be the earlier versions. All the audiobook versions on YouTube seem to be earlier versions, and a lot of printed version. The only one I could find is the one beyond year 1995, translated by a person called Susan Massotti or Magatti. And there seems to be some discrepancy, but I will stick with this one. And I believe there must be a number of Jewish, German, or Dutch names I might be pronouncing incorrectly. Please pardon me. I will try to botch the pronunciation at as best as I could. So let's try reading. June 12th of June 1942. I hope I will be able to confide everything to you as I've never been able to confide in anyone, and I hope you will be a great source of comfort and support. And this is the very first entry. This was the very first entry, and it was just a short sentence. That's all. Basically, it is the beginning of the entire diary, and later on, 3 months later, actually, Anne came back to this very first entry and added a comment, but I will not read it here. I will read it when I reach the actual entry on September. 3 months later, I'll come back. So now move on to the second entry. Sunday, 14th of June 1942. I'll begin from the moment I got you, the moment I saw you lying on a table among my other birthday presents. I went along when you were bored, but that doesn't count. On Friday, 12th of June, I was awake at 6 o'clock, which isn't surprising since it was my birthday, but I'm not allowed to get up at that hour, so I had to control my curiosity until 6:45. When I couldn't wait any longer, I went to the dining room, where Mulche, the cat, welcomed me by rubbing against my legs. A little after 7, I went to Daddy and Mama and then to the living room to open my presents. And you were the first thing I saw, maybe one of my nicest presents. Then a bouquet of roses, some peonies, and a potted plant. From Daddy and Mama, I got a blue blouse, a game, a bottle of grape juice, which to my mind tastes a bit like wine. After all, wine is made from grapes. A puzzle, a jar of cold cream, 2.5 guilders, and a gift certificate for 2 books. I got another book as well, Camera Obscura, but Maggot already has it, so I exchanged mine for something else. A platter of homemade cookies, which I made myself, of course, since I have become quite an expert at baking cookies. Lots of candy and a strawberry tart from Mother, and a letter from Grammy right on time, but of course that was just a coincidence. Then Hanali came to pick me up and we went to school. During recess, I passed out cookies to my teachers and my class, and then it was time to get back to work. I didn't arrive home until 5. Since I went to gym with the rest of the class, I'm not allowed to take part because my shoulders and hips tend to get dislocated. As it was my birthday, I got to decide which game my classmates would play, and I chose volleyball. Afterward, they all danced around me in a circle and sang Happy Birthday. When I got home, Sam Lederman was already there. Iles Wagner, Haneli Goslar, and Jacqueline Van Marsen came home with me after gym. Since we are in the same class, Haneli and Sand used to be my 2 best friends. People who saw us together used to say, "There goes Anne, Han, and San." I only met Jacqueline Van Marsen when I started at the Jewish Lyceum, and now she's my best friend. Iles is Haneli's best friend. And San goes to another school and has friends there. They gave me a beautiful book, Dutch Sasas and Lessons, but they gave me volume 2 by mistake, so I exchanged 2 other books for volume 1. Aunt Helene brought me a puzzle, Aunt Stephanie a darling brooch, and Aunt Lenny a terrific book, Daisy Goes to the Mountains. This morning I lay in the bathtub, thinking how wonderful it would be if I had a dog like Rin Tin Tin. I'll call him Rin Tin Tin too, and I'll take him to school with me, where he could stay in the janitor's room or by the bicycle racks when the weather was good. Monday, 15th of June 1942. I had my birthday party on Sunday afternoon. The Rin Tin Tin movie was a big hit with my classmates. I got 2 brooches, a bookmark, and 2 books. I'll start by saying a few things about my school and my class, beginning with the students. Betty Blomendal looks kind of poor. I think she probably is. She lives on some obscure street in West Amsterdam, and none of us know where it is. She does very well at school, but that's because she works so hard, not because she's so smart. She's pretty quiet. Jacqueline Van Marsen is supposedly my best friend, but I've never had a real friend. At first I thought Jack would be one, but I was badly mistaken. DQ, okay, this is a name. This is a fictitious name because this person prefers to remain anonymous. DQ is a very nervous girl who is always forgetting things, so the teachers keep assigning her extra homework as punishment. She's very kind, especially to GZ. ES talks. So all these are acronyms, like anonymous names. Yeah, because these people decided to be anonymous. Yes talks so much it isn't funny. She's always touching your hair or fiddling with your buttons when she asks you something. They say she can't stand me, but I don't care since I don't like her much either. Henny Metz is a nice girl with a cheerful disposition, except that she talks in a loud voice and is really childish when we are playing outdoors. Unfortunately, Hanny has a girlfriend named Bappy who's a bad influence on her because she's dirty and vulgar. JR, I could write a whole book about her. Jay is a detestable, sneaky, stuck up, two faced gossip who thinks she's so grown up. She's really got Jack under her spell, and that's a shame. Jay is easily offended, bursts into tears at the slightest thing, and to top it all off, is a terrible show off. Miss J always has to be right. She's very rich and has a closet full of the most adorable dresses that are way too old for her. She thinks she's gorgeous, but she's not. Jay and I can't stand each other. Wagner is a nice girl with a cheerful disposition, but she's extremely finicky and can spend hours moaning and groaning about something. Ios likes me a lot. She's very smart but lazy. Hanele Goslar, or Lies, as she's called at school, is a bit on the strange side. She's usually shy, outspoken at home, but reserved around other people. She blabs whatever you tell her to her mother. But she says what she thinks, and lately I've come to appreciate her a great deal. Nanny Van Praag's cigar is small, funny, and sensible. I think she's nice. She's pretty smart. There isn't much else you can say about Nanny. FJ De Jong is, in my opinion, terrific. Though she's only 12, she's quite the lady. She acts as if I were a baby. She's also very helpful, and I like her. GZ is the prettiest girl in our class. She has a nice face, but is kind of dumb. I think they're going to hold her back a year, but of course I haven't told her that. And sitting next to GZ is the last of us 12 girls. Me. There's a lot to be said about the boys, and maybe not so much after all. Maurice Coster is one of my many admirers, but pretty much out of a past. Sally Springer has a filthy mind, and rumor has it that he has gone all the way. Still, I think he's terrific because he's very funny. Emile Bonneville is GZ's admirer, but she doesn't care. He's pretty boring. Rob Cohen used to be in love with me too, but I can't stand him anymore. He's an obnoxious, two-faced, lying, sniveling little goof who has an awfully high opinion of himself. Max van der Velde is a farm boy from Madame Blake, but eminently suitable, as Margaret would say. Hammond Koopman also has a filthy mind, just like Joppy de Beer, who's a terrible flirt and absolutely go crazy. Leo Bloom is Joppy de Beer's best friend, but has been ruined by his dirty mind. Albert de Mesquita came from the Montessori school and skipped a grade. He's really smart. Leo Slager came from the same school but isn't as smart. Roos Stopperman is a short, goofy boy from Almelo who transferred to disco in the middle of the year. Cian does whatever he's not supposed to. Jacques Costanou sits behind us next to C, and G and I, laugh ourselves silly. Harry Sharp is the most decent boy in our class. He's nice. Werner Joseph is nice too, but all the changes taking place lately have made him too quiet, so he seems boring. Sam Salomon is one of those tough guys from across the tracks. A real Brad admirer. Appy Rim is pretty orthodox, but a Brad too. Alright, so that's all. Basically, these first two entries is just introduction, and I believe at a point of time, it was still very early, and didn't have to hide in the basement yet because there probably wasn't a threat from the Nazi yet. But by the way, it's really difficult to read and pronounce the names of those people. Most of them are Dutch names. Okay, I'll see you in another episode. See you. Goodbye.